Greetings, friends. Well, have you figured it out by now? Do you know what people are trying to do? They want to control you. They want to shut you up. They want to keep you from anything that you say that doesn't agree with what they say. Shh. Be quiet. And if you don't be quiet, we'll just remove you from a platform. We'll just take you away from Twitter. We'll take you away from Facebook. We'll take you away from YouTube. Amazon will get rid of you. If you don't understand that there are people that do not support freedom, if you don't understand that now, you better pay attention. You better realize that we are in a war that will want to shut up anybody that doesn't agree with the people that find themselves in charge. I mean, have you seen anything to this degree? Have you seen, right now, President Donald Trump, who is still the president until an inauguration, and if something weird happens before then, maybe he'll remain. But I'm telling you, right now, for him to be removed from Twitter, along with 71,000 people, accounts that were removed, tied to him, for him to have his Facebook account permanently gone, for him to not be able to even have a White House account with Twitter, taking that down, for them to try to take him out of any movie. Did you hear about that? Home Alone 2. Even Macaulay Culkin supports Trump being removed from that movie, digitally taken out. They want to rewrite history. They want to rewrite what has happened. They want to change things to fit their narrative. There are people that don't care what you think. They want to be able to control what is taught in our schools, what our education is. They want to control what you can and can't do. They would like to. Am I conspiratorial? Well, it certainly sounds like it, but this is happening before our eyes. They want to shut you up. This is PC gone mad. I mean, political correctness is a problem, and people have just wanted to expunge anything. I mean, look what they did when they passed in the new Congress. Look what they did. They took out, you can't say father and mother and brother and sister. They take out any gender. They want to make everybody gender neutral. Do you not understand that these people do not deserve to be in power? They deserve no authority because they support no freedom. A freedom to say something you agree with or don't agree with. Now, I support someone's freedom to say something that I don't agree with. But you should support my freedom to say something you don't agree with too. Because the First Amendment gives us, that the Constitution has, which they want to rewrite, it gives us that freedom and ability to say things. And that's what allows all the things, even bad things, to be in our society. But when we have people in government that want to take it away and that put pressure on you if you say something they don't like, look at what is happening with Parler. I mean, I have an account on Parler, and I hope I'll get this video up as one of the first things back when they come on again. But look at what they've done. Amazon took them off the servers. They put pressure on other people from picking them up when they think they have other servers to help them. There are people that are losing their followers on these different platforms because these companies are really illegally. I mean, have you looked at Section 230? Which is supposed to shield them from anything and give them the ability to do this. Well, they're testing it. That needs to be gotten rid of. But I'm telling you, they want to shut you up. And they're doing a pretty good job. I mean, they've already got us all having to wear masks everywhere so you can barely hear what we say. I mean, friend, you better think with me. Think with me about the 3 types of silence that I have talked about in the video that I did last Easter when I talked about what happened on Silent Wednesday. Now that even made my top 10 videos, but I'm telling you, those 3 types of silence that I discussed there are worth review right now. There's the silence of avoidance. And that's when you avoid dealing with something and you think that just not saying anything about it will make it go away. Just avoid the problem by being silent when we all know that problems don't go away by avoiding them. They may seem to go away, but they're still there and they'll root again at some point. They may try to be avoided and it actually becomes a bigger problem because you don't deal with something. So there is that silence of avoidance. And there's positive and negative ways to see these 3 types of silence. The silence of avoidance could be positive when you avoid saying something when you're upset to the point that it could cause more damage. You avoid that. You just agree to be silent until things can calm down. But there is mostly the negative aspect of that, where you avoid dealing with something. You avoid hearing anything. Friend, they want to have you avoid hearing anything about any election fraud. They don't want to hear from the hundreds of eyewitnesses. Why wouldn't you? If you want things to be above board, if you want things to be true, why wouldn't you hear from them? They don't want to hear about dead people voting, about illegal people voting, about underage people voting, about felons voting, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear about made up people vote. There needs to be a reckoning. We cannot let our voices be silenced. Now, there's the silence of avoidance, and then there's the silence of authority. And as I talked about it before, that silence of authority would be when an authority speaks and everybody has to be quiet to listen to that authority. Or there's that authority in a negative way, which would say, you have to be silent. I'm in charge. You can't speak. So there's positive and negative to that. And if we do have this Biden administration, if it does come into power, then they are going to want to say, you can't speak that way. They are going to start attacking the church. They're going to start saying, you can't preach against homosexuality. They're going to start saying, you can't preach against anything that we don't think you can, or you can't support things that we don't support. We had better be very careful that we don't do something stupid like some supporters of Donald Trump did and got instigated to do by other people there just to prove that. I mean, good grief. Why should we be silent about this? The investigation is showing that they were doing things there at the Capitol, breaking in before Trump had even finished his speech, or before they would have had time, the people that were listening to him, to make it over there to the Capitol building. That was orchestrated, it was planned, it was instigated. People that were supporters of Trump got caught up in it and joined and shouldn't have done what they did, and he didn't support it, and they shouldn't have impeached him again, and they shouldn't have done what they did again, and and doing that without due process and doing it without any evidence or any chance. I mean, do you want them to do that to you? Do you want to be railroaded by the authority? Well, friend, if we don't stand for our rights and speak up for them and collectively do so, then you better look out. There is that third area of silence I talked about, which was the silence of anticipation, where you just can't wait for something to happen. You anticipate for that thing to occur, and you're just anxiously waiting and quiet until it does happen. And you see even in Scripture times where there was a silence like that, as I had mentioned before in Revelation 8:1, where before those terrible trumpet judgments come on the earth and all the things that they will cause, there was silence for half an hour that occurred. And it was anticipating all of that terrible judgment that was coming. So you can have an anticipation of something bad happening, or you just can't wait to hear the good news. And are you anticipating the trumpet sounding? Because we're lining up with Scripture so clearly, and I have to do videos on Bible prophecy. I have to share some of those things with you to try to clarify some of the confusion that's out there. And I will do that at some point. And if you have a question, please send it to me, because I want to be able to address those things as I get into Scripture. But I wanted to take just a couple more minutes here before I conclude this video in talking about silence and warning you, friend, that they will come for you too. And are you going to be controlled by fear? Are you going to keep silent because you're afraid? If you do, they win. Because they will use intimidation. They will use whatever they can. They will use the power of private companies to shut you up and keep you silent. They will use government. They will use medical community. They will use the health community. They will do whatever they can to shut you up. Now, you might say, well, it might be a good idea to shut some people up. And yeah, maybe it would. And it wouldn't be my ideal to listen to some of the crazy things that people say. But I believe that they have the freedom to say those things. And friend, you have the freedom right now still to be able to look at what is happening, to be able to hopefully get alternate sources from the mainstream media that you may hear things from that you shouldn't listen to, because they're feeding you wrong information about what you should or shouldn't do and about what has or hasn't happened. They're not telling you the truth. But the truth will come out. The truth will come out because God is in charge and because justice will prevail. It doesn't prevail in the time we always want, but it will. And I wanted to share from Psalm chapter 50 a couple of places that talk about silence in Psalm 50 as I'm concluding here today and talking about this subject. So, just going through this psalm a little bit as I looked at it, I see that it is God who is perfect in His beauty, and He will shine forth. It is God who is going to come and not be silent, as verse 3 says. It says, our God shall come and shall not keep silent. A fire shall devour before Him, and it shall be very tempestuous all around Him. Listen, when Jesus returns, you will be silent. You will want to see Him, and you will be glad if you are with Him, and you will be sad if you are not. But God will come and He will devour anything that's wrong and unjust. And that will happen in the future. But as He says here, He will judge His people. And make no mistake, the things that are occurring in our society, God is using also to judge His people. The people that claim to follow Jesus Christ. The people that claim to follow God's way. They are being judged right now. And this judgment will be preceding the judgment that will come on all the earth. But it says here in Psalm 50, gather my saints together to me. In verse 5, those who have made a covenant with me by sacrifice. And as you go on through here, you see God is the judge. Let the heavens declare, verse 6, His righteousness, for God Himself is judge. Selah. God will judge this. And He will do so in His time and in His way. And we better be with Him as He does. But He will do this, and He will testify, as it says here. And I don't want to take time for every verse here, but God has ownership. We see He is the judge. He's the authority. He also has ownership because every beast of the forest is His. And He owns the cattle on 1,000 hills, as that song says. He knows all the birds of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the fields are His, as 10 and 11 say. God does not need things that we need. We should pay our vows to Him, it says. We should call on Him in the day of trouble, as verse 15 says, and He will deliver us. And He must deliver us in this trouble that we are facing and are about to feel even more. But it goes on and it warns the wicked, and it says, what right have you to declare my statutes, you people who are silent about the things you shouldn't be silent about, and trying to force other people to be silent? What are you to be doing, seeing you hate instruction and cast my words behind you? Verse 17 says. Verse 18, how about this? How relevant is this? When you saw a thief, you consented with him and have been a partaker with adulterers. Is that not true with what has happened? What people in authority have been doing, have been associating with people that are not good people, that are thieves, that are liars, that are other things? You sit and speak against your brother. You slander your own mother's son. Verse 21. Or verse 20, excuse me. It says that you just speak against them. You say things bad against them. What are they doing in all of the people that are just downing the president after what he said wasn't inciting anyone, far less than what they have done? They just speak against him, and they're going to be spoken against. Because verse 21 does say, these things you have done, and I kept silent. You thought I was altogether like you. These people that think they've gotten away with what they've gotten away with to this point, they don't think God is going to hold them accountable in ways that you or I couldn't. He keeps silent because He's a merciful God. But when He speaks, you will listen. And He says, I will rebuke you. I will set them in order before your eyes. Now consider this, verse 22, you who forget God, lest I tear you in pieces and there be none to deliver you. But whoever offers praise glorifies me. Verse 23, and to him who orders his conduct right, I will show the salvation of God. So friend, as Ecclesiastes 3 says, there is a time to be silent and there's a time to speak. And even though people tell you it's time for you to just be quiet, Shut your mouth. Don't talk about stopping the steal. Don't talk about fraud. Don't talk about those things. It's not time to be silent there. It is time to do more to push for investigation. It is time to let your voice be heard more, that you will not stand for this unjustness and untruth, that you will speak out against it. And even if they try to stop your voice, you will speak out. There is a time you don't need to push that, but this is not that time. So don't let pressure stop you and keep you quiet. Don't let authorities intimidate you. You have the freedom to speak, and before it is taken away and our Constitution is trampled under even more, you better use this right and privilege that you have, and you better speak out for God and give praise to Him, because He's going to make this right. He's going to judge this. So, shh. When you have to. Be quiet when you have to. But don't be quiet about what is true. Be wise and speak out as God leads you and as truth demands you to. So like this video, share it with others, subscribe to my channel. Hopefully my platform won't be taken off because of what I say, but if it is, I'll try to get the message out. I'll be back on Parler when it's back up. I'll try to get this stuff on Rumble. I'll try to get it out there, and I trust that you are blessed and that you will speak out for truth. Thank you.